What's up, guys? Eli here, back for a type of video that I don't normally do. This is going to be a response video to Dennis over at Analog Archives. He did a video talking about 10 albums that 10 sophomore albums that he thinks are better than the debuts. And I normally don't do response videos. I normally just don't make time for them. Or, I don't know, I usually just I have way too many of my own ideas that I want to get out. But I thought this one sounded cool, and I'm going to give it a shot. So I got 10 albums here. Might ruffle some feathers, right? But I mean, that's how fucking opinions work, and I don't care. So anyways, we're going to start off with my all-time favorite death metal album, Obituary, Cause of Death. Their second album, I think, is, in my opinion, vastly better than the debut, Slowly We Rot. Largely due to the really cool solos of James Murphy. And I think the songwriting is just slightly better. I think the arrangements are slightly better. And I think it's an overall better album. So how do you guys feel? Number 2, I'm going with Paradise Lost. Gothic over Lost Paradise. And now I know Lost Paradise is just a gnarly, dirty doom death classic. But for me, Gothic is a much classier album. I love the melody on it. I think it's just masterful songwriting. It's a lot more melodic than Lost Paradise, but just overall, I think it's miles ahead of Lost Paradise, in my humble opinion. Number 3, I'm going to go with Rainbow Rising. I think it is much, so many steps up above the debut album, Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow. Now, for the longest time, Ritchie Blackmore's Rainbow was the only Rainbow album I had. I got it when I was a teenager, so I liked it quite a bit back then, but I'll be honest, I don't think it is an album that, at least for me, it hasn't aged super well. It's a debut album. It does what debut albums do. It's a band still kind of, finding themselves, and Rainbow Rising is one of the best. It's one of the best heavy metal albums of all time. So, it's better than most albums that most bands have done, but it's just so goddamn strong. It's one of the best rock or heavy metal albums ever made. So, of course, it's going to be miles above their debut. Now, for number 4, I went with something a little bit obscure. A lot of you guys, probably won't be aware of this band, but I wanted to go with it anyways. I'm going with Decapitator. It was a thrash metal band, had some exhumed members. They only had 2 albums. I wish they'd record a follow-up to the second album, but they just haven't. And so I'm going to go with the Storm Before the Calm. I think it's way better than the debut, which is called We Will Destroy, You Will Obey. It's just a killer. It's my favorite kind of retro thrash album. It's just as a standalone thrash album, it's so strong. If you like Bay Area thrash from the 80s, this is your new favorite album. Or one of them, at least. Number 5, we're going to go for Summoning. I'm going for Minas Morgul, their second album, far better than their debut, Lugburs. Now, Lugburs kind of stands apart from all their other albums, kind of stands alone in their discography. It's just like a pure black metal album. It doesn't really sound a whole lot like what Summoning would do with every single album ever since. But, I like Summoning for what they would become, which is this cool kind of ambient, black metal band. They're almost a genre of their, Summoning is like its own genre. And I like Lugburs, but I just don't think it's as good as literally every single album that's came since. Number 6, we're going for Angel Corpse, Exterminate over Hammer of Gods. Hammer of Gods is a cool album. It's very much Morbid Angel sounding, and they would never lose their Morbid Angel influences entirely, but Exterminate is just such a ripping, crushing album. I think everything is better about it. Songwriting, the vocals, the guitar playing, the production, even the cover art, everything about it is better than Hammer of Gods, in my opinion. Number 7. Now, this one right here is one of the most feather-ruffling ones, I would say. I'm going for Blasphemy. I've always thought Gods of War was way better than Fallen Angel of Doom. I know Fallen Angel of Doom is an all-time classic for black metal fans or black death metal fans, war metal, whatever you want to call it. I just think that Gods of War is kind of like the Angel Corpse. It improves on literally every single thing. The production is miles better. You can actually hear things in Gods of War. The songwriting, I think, is way better. The musicianship may not have changed much, but slightly better. I just think I've always preferred it over Fallen Angel of Doom. 9 times out of 10, when I reach for Blasphemy, I'm going for Gods of War. Number 8, Armored Saint. I think Delirious Nomad improves pretty much on every aspect. March of the Saint is a great album. Don't get me wrong; it's a great debut. But I just think or Delirious Nomad, just the songwriting alone, I think the songwriting is numerous steps above March of the Saint. Again, it's a great album. I love March of the Saint, but Delirious Nomad just improves on almost every aspect. Number 9, Fate's Warning. I'm not the biggest fan of Night on Brocken. It was basically a heavy metal album, made by young dudes, of course. They were still finding their footing, and it's a very unique heavy metal album. Of course it is. But come on, Spectre Within, their songwriting, this is a band that would improve very fast. I think out of all the John Arch albums that would come after Night on Brocken are I think every one was better than the last. Awaken the Guardian is my favorite of all time. So, but we're not talking about that. We're talking about Spectre Within. Spectre Within is the album. They were still kind of honing their craft. It's still not quite what they wanted to be, but it's amazing, and I just think it's so much better than Night on Brocken. And number 10, another one that might ruffle some feathers, but I feel like this is a 50-50. I feel like 50% of the band fans of this band prefer the first album, and 50% prefer the second. So I'm talking about Merciful Fate. I have always liked Don't Break the Oath more than Melissa. Melissa's amazing. One of the best heavy metal albums ever. Of course it is. Of course. But I think Don't Break the Oath, songwriting, man. The songwriting is just, it's a notch up above Melissa. And also the musicianship. At least a half a notch above. By the time they put out Melissa, they were already kind of experienced dudes. They were already good musicians. But Don't Break the Oath, like I said, at least a half a step up. But the songwriting for me is at least a notch or two above Melissa. That's just my personal opinion. I love Melissa, but Don't Break the Oath to me is always, literally, I think since the first time I've heard it, I was like, oh, this is better. I just think it's better. So anyways, feel free to critique me on my picks. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't. That's what's fun about this. It's cool to, talk and compare notes. So anyways, cheers, Dennis, for whatever it is that you achieved. I'm sorry, I don't remember why you did this. It's just a cool idea, and you're a cool dude. So, of course, check out Dennis's channel. He's a great guy, and that's it for now. Yeah, thanks for stopping by. As always, we'll fucking talk soon. Cheers.